Now race one's all done and dusted, and there's a slight reprieve in the rain, which is absolutely fantastic. Well, in that moment of dryness, we found Chris from Avon. Now Chris from Avon, hello. Can you tell us a little bit about why we saw so much action? Obviously there was an enormous amount of water on the track and we saw a lot of spinning. Why is that?
Well, in the championship here, we use the ZZR as a control tyre, so it's a tyre that they use in the dry and the wet. Now, the ZZR was originally designed to be an ultimate performance dry tyre that's kept road legal. So in these kind of conditions, the tyre isn't best suited to be used in the wet because it's a dry orientated tyre. So it's down to the driver really to really bring out a skill of a balance in the throttle and the brake, and to keep the car on track best as possible.
We're seeing some quite exciting and different race lines going into some of those corners. People are taking it wide, trying to get a bit on the dirt, and that's obviously relying on the driver's skill and knowledge around this circuit to try and make the best out of those tyres.
In these kind of conditions, it's going to be key to try and pick your way through the standing water, the puddles and the rivers across the circuit. Not to whack a plane and spin off, basically, like in any kind of wet race, which particularly around here is very tricky. When it's wet around Dejon, there is very little grip.
Certainly is. We've certainly seen that in race one. Now moving into race two, I'm not sure what the weather's going to do, but do we expect to see much of the same as we did in race one?
There's a question on the start of race two, whether it's be a standing start or a rolling start, but it'll be the same again. It's just whether it stays, like we've got now, no rain, or if it buckets down later on and we see more rain on the circuit.
Xavier, obviously a massively disappointing crash there, but the weather really didn't help you much out there. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yes, les conditions de piste étaient très difficiles.
Yes, the weather conditions on the track were very, very difficult today, very difficult for everyone. Well, I was sitting behind Franck Laroche and he sadly lost control of his car. I have tried to avoid him by taking him on the left, but unfortunately, then he touched the back of my car. I'm not so sure what really happened, but I'm not sure I can fix the car now for the second leg. But as you can see, there is a lot of damage. Hopefully everything will be ready for Manitou. We were really looking forward to this race here in Dijon. I wanted to be patient. I was behind the top three, waiting to do something, because we had again great hope here in Dijon. But it's the race, and sadly you have to accept it.
C'est la course, faut l'accepter, même si c'est difficile aujourd'hui, mais faut l'accepter.
Obviously a lot of work to be done to the car. Will it be ready for race two?
Non, je pense qu'il y a trop de travail.
No, I really don't think so. And there is so much work to be done on the car, so I really think it is almost impossible to see us on the starting block. But anyway, back weekend, it's a bad weekend, and it's one to forget, I'm sure.
Mauvais week-end à oublier.
Frank obviously caught up a little bit in a crash there out on the circuit. Can you talk us through what happened?
Yes, I lose the rear of the car in the Poix, on the turn of Poix, and I make a crash with Xavier George, and it's the race, but I feel very sad for my car, and it's the race.
Will we see you in race two, or is that it for the weekend?
I hope for the race too. Okay. Yes, I hope so.
Now there's one man that certainly knows what it's like to drive on the circuit here at Dejon, and of course that's Martin Donnelly. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Now, tell us a little bit about the circuit. Obviously, this morning in race one, it was really, really slippy. We only saw 3 laps of racing, and it was particularly tricky driving. Drying a little bit at the moment. So what's it going to be like for the drivers?
Well, I think, having looked at the circuit just on the inspection there, it looks to be dry. So I think the guys will be sort of relieved. But bear in mind, it'll be the first time this weekend they've been on the track in semi-stroke dry conditions. And that in itself brings its own challenges. So, but I mean, this whole circuit is synonymous with motorsports. It's steeped in history, and for the Lotus on-track European Series, it gives it that European flavour and feel of European racing. And it's a great place to be, and it holds many special memories for me. I won here in 1988 in the European 3000 Series, and you to ask any driver, it's a fantastic experience to be on the track.
It is certainly an exciting circuit to drive on as well. You've got lots of sort of canvas ups and downs, difficult corners, so particularly challenging. And particularly now as the circuit's drying, there's going to be different sort of areas where they're going to find it slippery. This really does rely on the driver's skill quite a lot.
Driver skill and driver setup, and obviously drivers have to be patient. It's a long race. I always say to any of the guys I speak to, you don't win a race in the first lap, but you lose it on the first lap. So caution is a better part of valor in the first part of the race. And just let the race unfold, get into a nice rhythm. And there's lots of blind apexes, and you know it comes with experience. And the last corner is an absolutely fantastic challenge. It's fast, it's quick. It's a high speed circuit here. All the sweeps are around the back. The first, second, third corners are all very fast. So again, they'll enjoy it. They'll come back with many stories.
They certainly will come back with many stories. We'll see you on the grid in just a second for the start of race 2. It's now time for race 2 in the Lotus Cup Europe, and of course this will be the first time all weekend that they've seen a dry track. 2.3 miles, and it will be slippy out there, but it's certainly going to be different to what they've been used to all weekend. So let's step out the way and hopefully see a full race this time.
Well, after the very, very difficult weather that greeted them in the first race, this should hopefully be a little bit nicer as we get ready for the off, and away we go. This is a great start from Jonathan Walker. He sprints clear of Jeremy Lorenko as they hurtle down towards turn 1. And once more it is Jonathan Walker from Lorenko, then Nicholas Walker and Nikolai Ibsen as the rest of the field all head through the first couple of turns. As you can see, offline it's still very damp and treacherous, and therefore that's going to make overtaking a little bit tricky, certainly as in these early stages. It also means in this first lap, if you get caught offline, you could have problems, as indeed there were for Nicholas Frere. He seemed to be pulling off the road as Jonathan Walker tries to break clear of Lorenko in the early stages. They head through the left-hander on towards the steep uphill right-hand hairpin. Lorenko taking a slightly different line of attack. Staying with Walker there is Nicholas Walker. He's clear of Nikolai Ibsen, John Packer. And the rest of them are all bundling through. John Rass and Markus Lukovic beginning to engage in battle at the lead of the production class. There is the yellow car of Rass. Here comes Lukovic just behind Dejon Prache. Oh, and a big sideways moment for Jonathan Walker. He's really trying on this first lap, trying to break away from Lorenko, because I think he knows that over the course of the 30-minute race duration, Jeremy Lorenko may well come back at him. As into the gravel trap, that is Philippe van Pevenegger, and Philippe may struggle to recover from there, but he seems to have got traction. And sometimes when it's been raining and you engage second gear, you can just take advantage of the compressed gravel to get back on your way. Meanwhile, our race leader, Jonathan Walker, as a little bit further back, John Rass and Natalie Genier-Prache do battle. Genier-Prache looking to the inside. They're also being joined by one of the exiges, that is Nicola Gambini in the white car, who's able to slingshot past both of them into turn 1. Now they've got this very fast sequence of turns which really flow one after the other. As a driver, you're setting up for the subsequent turn really before you've completed the current one. It's on his way. Here's the racing the Walker from Lorenko. Nikolai Ibsen not really making any inroads at the moment into Nicholas Walker in third position. So the two of them having a couple of adventures. I think that is a recovering Philippe Loop. Possibly lost some time at the start as Jean-Pierre Genier-Prache looks to the outside of Thierry Vahist. Evora. So battles throughout the field as Jean-Pierre Genier-Prache makes that move stick. Benoit Roger, the next driver, in line to take his turn. Now here's a look at Philippe Loop off the line. Loses the engine altogether. He's taking a couple of bites at getting it restarted as well. Fires into life. And he gets back on his way. Meanwhile, the leading duo breaking clear of the fight. It's not really quite come together yet for third and fourth. Then we've got the gap back to John Packer in fifth. He has got Steve Williams in the Evora just behind him. Then it's Christophe Legendre who moves to the inside of Jean-Baptiste Loop. We go in car with Jean-Baptiste as the road heads downhill. 2-11's running nose tail. They've got Nicolas Fournier as well. Not too far back. Jean-Baptiste Loop just looks to stick to the racing line. Meanwhile, windscreen wiper a go-go for Jeremy Lorenko. I think he may have just flicked the switch rather than that being the sign of any imminent precipitation. Lorenko moves through the gears. Still Jean Rass and Genier-Prache doing battle. Rass at the moment leading the production class. He's being a little bit held up here by the 211 because you can see in terms of corner speed But John Rass is the match of the two of them. But on the straights, the open cockpit car just begins to pull clear. They've got David Harvey as well, not too far ahead of them up the road. Just caught a glimpse there of the recovering Philippe Loop as again John Rass looks to line up the move on Jenny Prasher. This is the quickest corner on the circuit, really. An immense challenge for the drivers as the road falls away. You just have to keep your foot in and use the camber of the course to pull you back round uphill. Meanwhile, Nikolai Ibsen coming under pressure from John Packer. So that battle for fourth just beginning to close up. Meanwhile, Christophe Lezondre taking his turn to challenge Steve Williams. Great race this, as the drivers really getting to enjoy running at full speed around the Dejon circuit and taking full advantage. But Williams is a tough man to overtake. Challenge for the Sondra, who's got to make his move quickly because Jean-Baptiste Loop is in very close attention there. Indeed, it's Benoit Roger. He's behind Thierry Verheest, and they're all trying to chase down Phil Capstick. There is the Evora of Thierry, just covering his line. They've got Thierry Edmond as well in one of the production. Lees is looking to maybe do a little bit of giant killing. So we've only really got the one long straight here at Dejon along the front stretch. Everywhere else they're almost constantly turning, and that does give a bit more parity to some of the production class runners. So John Rass has got Philippe Loop closing up onto his tail. Loop, of course, who bogged down at the start. On to turns with the battle between John Rass and Nathalie Genion-Prachet. Rass now looks to the outside of Genion-Prachet, arriving into the downhill left-hander. Nathalie sticks to the racing line. Rass in pursuit in behind. Makes the upward gear shift. And then changes down through the gears as they arrive into the hairpin. Philippe Loop in pursuit. Loop powers past. I think Rass will have to content himself with conceding that position. But much smoother today for Rass. You can see just that single turn of the wheel, letting the car do all the hard work. That's what you need to do. That's the key to a successful lap time. And so whilst the car is at all angles, if you look at it from the exterior, inside the car, all very cool, calm and collected for John Rass. As Philippe Loop elbows aside Nathalie Genion-Prachet and hurtles onward towards the conclusion of another lap. But as John Rass gets held up, that's an opening possibly for Markus Nikovic to challenge as he looks around the outside through the final turn. They head along the start and finish straight, and Nikovic gets his nose in front as Rass settles into the slipstream. He'll look to challenge back possibly for the first turn. The straight well over 1 kilometre in length. So as the production class battle continues, we will take a short break. Join us in a couple of moments' time as the action resumes in Dejon.